Have you ever held an old photograph? Not one on a screen, but a real one. The kind with faded colors and soft, worn edges. I have one of my grandfather, taken when he was perhaps 30 years old. He's standing by a newly planted oak tree, his hands resting on a shovel. Those hands, they tell a story. They're broad, capable, etched with the fine lines of hard work and youthful strength. Years later, I remember holding those same hands when he was 82. The skin was as soft as worn parchment. The powerful muscles had given way to a delicate fragility. He would struggle with the lid of a jam jar, a task that once would have been thoughtless. And in that moment, I saw what the world tells us is the inevitable story of aging. A slow, quiet subtraction. A story where the final chapter is defined by the things we can no longer do. But what if that story, the one we've all been told, is wrong? What if there's another narrative being written, not in the pages of a book, but in the vibrant lives of people all around us? A story of addition, not subtraction. A story of gaining wisdom, gaining resilience, and even regaining a vitality that defies the calendar. Today, we're not going to talk about decline. We're going to explore the quiet, powerful rebellion against it. We're going to talk about the 7 things most 80-year-olds can no longer do, and how discovering you can do them is a sign that you're not just aging gracefully. You might just be aging in reverse. First, let's talk about the simple, profound act of getting up from the floor with ease. Think back to being a child. The floor was your kingdom. You'd sprawl out with coloring books, build castles with blocks, lie on your stomach reading a comic book. Getting up wasn't a process. It was a single fluid thought. A spring, a roll, a push, and you were on your feet, off to the next adventure. For many, as the years pass, the floor becomes a foreign country, a place you only visit by accident after a fall. The thought of sitting on the carpet to play with a grandchild is shadowed by a nagging question. But how will I get back up? The process becomes a multi-stage project, requiring a nearby chair, a sturdy knee, a deep breath, and sometimes a helping hand. It's a loss of freedom, a loss of spontaneity. It's the body's quiet admission that its foundation is no longer as stable as it once was. But then, you see it. You see a 75-year-old woman in a yoga class, gracefully moving from a downward dog to a standing pose. You see a 78-year-old grandfather on the living room floor, eye level with his granddaughter, building a wobbly tower of blocks. And when it's time to get up, he doesn't grunt or heave. He places his hands, shifts his weight, and rises with a stability that seems to defy his age. This isn't about showing off. This is a sign of something much deeper. It's a sign that you've maintained your core strength, your flexibility, your body's innate sense of balance. You haven't allowed the fear of the floor to win. You've kept that connection to the ground, that fundamental human ability to move between levels. It means you've been stretching, moving, perhaps doing Tai Chi or simple squats. You've been sending a consistent message to your muscles and joints. We are still in this together. Being comfortable on the floor is a powerful declaration. It says, I am not fragile, I am grounded, I am capable, and I am still ready to play. The second sign you're rewriting the rules? You confidently carry your own burdens, literally. I remember seeing an older woman at the supermarket. She had 2 bags of groceries and she was staring at them as if they were a mountain she had to climb. A young man rushed over to help, and her face flooded with a mixture of gratitude and what looked like resignation. The ability to carry what you need, to be self-sufficient in these small daily ways, is a cornerstone of independence. The story we're told is that sarcopenia, the age-related loss of muscle mass, is unavoidable. Your grip weakens. A gallon of milk feels like a kettlebell. Carrying a suitcase into a hotel or a bag of potting soil out to the garden becomes a task to be delegated or avoided. We start buying smaller sizes, making more frequent trips, unconsciously shrinking our physical world to match our perceived shrinking strength. But the person aging in reverse tells a different story. They are the 72-year-old I saw at the garden center, hoisting a bag of mulch over his shoulder with a satisfied grunt. He wasn't reckless, he was practiced. He was the 80-year-old woman I know named Eleanor, who insists on carrying her own travel bag through the airport. Her friends offer, but she smiles and says, "If I can't carry it, I shouldn't have packed it. This is my yardstick." That's the key. These individuals haven't discovered a magic potion. They've simply never stopped lifting. They haven't relegated strength training to bodybuilders in their 20s. They understand that muscle is the organ of longevity. They do resistance training. They carry their own groceries. They lift their grandchildren. They see everyday objects not as obstacles, but as opportunities to remind their body of its purpose. When you can confidently carry a heavy pot from the stove to the sink, or bring in all the shopping bags in one trip, not out of pride, but out of simple practiced ability, it is a profound sign. It means you are actively preserving the engine of your metabolism and the framework of your independence. You are not just carrying groceries, you are carrying your own freedom. Third, and this is a big one in our modern world, you embrace new technology with curiosity, not fear. There's a common, often gentle joke about older adults and technology. The flashing 1200 on a VCR has been replaced by the struggle to join a family video call, the confusion of a smartphone interface, or the distrust of online banking. For many, the technological world accelerates at a dizzying pace, and at a certain point, it feels easier to just stop trying. The world of instant connection becomes a world of frustrating isolation. The complaint isn't just, "I don't know how to use this." It's, "The world is leaving me behind." This digital retreat is a symptom of a deeper cognitive shift. It's a move from a flexible, learning-oriented mindset to a fixed one. The brain, like a muscle, thrives on new challenges. When we decide we're too old to learn this stuff, we are actively closing doors not just to convenience, but to connection and cognitive exercise. And then you meet the reverse ager. You see the 70-year-old who has figured out how to use a tablet to read newspapers from his home country. You see the 82-year-old grandmother who has become the master of the family group chat, sending perfectly timed emojis and hilarious photos. She didn't just learn it overnight, she was patient. She asked her grandkids for help. She watched tutorials. She wasn't afraid to look silly or to fail a few times. This isn't about becoming a tech wizard. It's about the willingness to try. It's a powerful indicator of neuroplasticity, the brain's incredible ability to form new connections at any age. When you decide to learn how to use a new app, set up a smart home device, or even just master the features of your new phone, you are doing more than just learning a task. You are sending a powerful signal to your brain that it is still in learning mode. You are building cognitive resilience. You are choosing to stay a part of the evolving conversation of the world. It's a declaration that says, "I am still here, I am still curious, and I am still capable of learning the language of today." It truly makes you wonder, doesn't it, about all the small ways we can push back against the old narrative. I'd be so honored to read about a moment where you, or someone you love, surprised yourself with your own strength or adaptability. Please share your story in the comments below. Your experience could be the very inspiration someone else needs to see today. Fourth, you actively seek out and build new, meaningful friendships. Think about the structure of our lives in school, in university, in our early careers, and while raising families, our lives are designed for social connection. We are constantly thrown into environments with new people. Friendships form organically from shared experiences. But as we age, that structure often dissolves. Retirement, children moving away, the loss of partners and peers, the built-in opportunities for connection dwindle. For many older adults, their social circle becomes a cherished but closed group. The thought of making a new best friend at 75 can seem as unlikely as growing a new tooth. Loneliness can creep in, not as a dramatic event, but as a slow, creeping tide. It becomes easier to stay home, to rely on the comfort of memory rather than the effort of new connection. The person aging in reverse understands that social health is just as critical as physical health. They actively fight against this tide of isolation. They are the 70-year-old who joins a local hiking club, not just for the exercise, but for the conversation on the trail. They are the 80-year-old widower who starts volunteering at the library, not just to stay busy, but to be part of a community. They are the 77-year-old woman who takes a painting class and finds a new partner in crime to share coffee and critiques with. Making new friends in later life requires a unique kind of courage. It requires vulnerability. It means being the one to say hello first, to suggest a coffee, to risk rejection. It's an active, intentional process. And when you find yourself doing it, it's a sign that your emotional world is still expanding. It shows you haven't closed yourself off. It demonstrates a belief in the future, a future that includes new people, new laughter, and new confidants. It means your heart is still open, still curious, and still willing to grow. These new friendships aren't just a pleasant pastime. They are a potent antidote to cognitive decline and a powerful pillar of a long, happy life. The fifth sign is a testament to the enduring power of the human mind. You take on the challenge of learning a complex new skill. There's a pervasive myth that learning is for the young. We learn our trade, we build our expertise, and then, at a certain point, we are meant to simply practice what we already know. The brain, we're told, becomes less plastic, less capable of absorbing something truly new and difficult, like a new language, a musical instrument, or a complex craft. So many people in their later years turn to hobbies which are wonderful, but they often choose activities that are variations of skills they already possess. They might tend to garden, which is beautiful, but they've been gardening for 40 years. They might knit, but they learned the basics as a child. The act of being a true beginner, of feeling clumsy and incompetent, and pushing through that discomfort, is often left behind in youth. The person who is truly revitalizing their life doesn't just seek comfort, they seek challenge. They are the 74-year-old man who decides to finally learn the Spanish he's always dreamed of. Painstakingly conjugating verbs and practicing with language apps every single day. He's not just learning words, he's building entirely new neural pathways. He's the 81-year-old woman who picks up a violin for the first time, her fingers fumbling on the strings, producing screeching sounds that slowly, over months, begin to resemble music. This is not about becoming a concert violinist or a fluent polyglot. The outcome is secondary to the process. The process of wrestling with a new and complex skill is like a high-intensity workout for the brain. It demands focus, memory, problem-solving, and fine motor skills. It floods the brain with the message that growth is still the primary objective. It builds what scientists call cognitive reserve, an extra buffer of brain function that can help protect against age-related decline. So if you find yourself with a deep, persistent desire to learn the guitar, to take up coding, to study philosophy, or to master the art of sourdough bread, and you act on it, you are participating in one of the most powerful anti-aging strategies there is. You are proving that your mind is not a museum of past knowledge, but a vibrant, active workshop still capable of building beautiful, complex new things. Sixth, you embrace spontaneity and travel with a spirit of adventure, not just comfort. As we get older, travel can start to look very different. The idea of a spontaneous road trip is replaced by the meticulously planned, all-inclusive resort. The desire to explore a winding, cobblestone street is overshadowed by concerns about accessibility and stamina. Travel becomes less about discovery and more about managed comfort. We trade backpacks for wheeled luggage, adventure for predictability. There's nothing wrong with comfort, but when it's the only way we're willing to see the world, it can be a sign that our sense of resilience has diminished. We start to believe our adventure days are over. The world, which once felt like an open book, begins to feel like a place with too many potential problems. The reverse ager, however, keeps a spark of that adventurous spirit alive. This doesn't mean they're climbing Mount Everest. It's more subtle and more profound. It's the 76-year-old couple who, on a whim, decide to drive a few hours up the coast to a town they've never visited just to try a famous seafood restaurant. It's the 80-year-old who, instead of booking the standard hotel, finds a charming little apartment rental in a residential neighborhood in a foreign city so she can shop at the local market and feel, for a week, like a local. This kind of travel requires mental and physical flexibility. It requires problem-solving skills when a train is missed or a menu is in another language. It demands a level of confidence in your ability to navigate the unexpected. It shows that you trust yourself. You trust your body to handle a bit of walking, and you trust your mind to handle a bit of uncertainty. When you find yourself saying yes to an unplanned day trip, or when you find yourself more excited than anxious about navigating a new city, it is a clear sign that you haven't allowed your world to shrink. You are still actively expanding its borders. You believe that there are still new things to see, new foods to taste, and new experiences to be had. You are not just a tourist. You are still an explorer. If this journey we're on together resonates with you, if you believe in a future defined by vitality and not by limits, then I warmly invite you to become a part of our community. Please consider subscribing to the channel and pressing that like button. It tells us that these conversations matter, and it helps us reach more people who might need to hear this message of hope. And finally, the seventh and perhaps most important sign of all, you cultivate a powerful, forward-looking sense of purpose. This is the invisible thread that ties all the other points together. What is the single biggest thing that many 80-year-olds lose? It isn't just their strength or their memory, it's their why. After a lifetime of purpose defined by career, raising a family, or caring for parents, retirement can feel like an ending. The world can subtly signal that your contribution is complete. The question, what do you do, becomes awkward to answer. A sense of irrelevance can set in, and with it, a loss of the driving force that gets you out of bed in the morning. Without a purpose, there's little reason to stay strong, to learn new things, or to make new friends. A person aging in reverse refuses to retire from meaning. They understand that purpose is not a job title, it is a mindset. They actively cultivate a reason to be that looks forward, not backward. This isn't about grand, world-changing gestures. It is often quiet, personal, and deeply meaningful. It's the 79-year-old who pours his energy into mentoring a young entrepreneur in his former field. His why is passing on his wisdom. It's the 83-year-old who dedicates 3 days a week to an animal shelter. Her why is providing comfort to creatures in need. It's the 75-year-old who becomes the keeper of the family history, organizing photos and writing down stories so that future generations will know where they came from. His why is legacy. Purpose is the fuel for vitality. It's what makes you get up from the floor to play with your great-grandchild. It's what motivates you to learn how to use a tablet to see their face. It's what gives you the strength to carry the soil for the garden that will feed your family. When you wake up in the morning and you have an answer to the question, what is my mission today? Зрение. Вы живете в обратном порядке от conventional истории о старении. It might be small, to finish a painting, to help a neighbor, to learn a new song on the piano, but it is a forward-looking reason to exist. It means you see your life not as a completed story to be reread, but as a book with compelling, unwritten chapters still to come. You are not just living longer, you are living for something. So look at this list not as a scorecard, but as a map of possibilities. It's a reminder that the story of our later years is not predetermined. It is a story we are co-authoring every single day with our choices, our mindset, and our courage. It's in the way we choose to move, to connect, to learn, and to love. The numbers on a calendar tell us how many years we have lived, but it is the vitality in our spirit that tells the world how much life is still in our years. And that is a story worth telling.